Have you ever found yourself laughing at a sketch that starts with a fish saying good morning, passes through a ministry of silly walks, and ends with a naked man playing the piano? Then congratulations! You've been infected by the genius virus known as Monty Python's Flying Circus. Premiering in 1969, this wildly unconventional British show blended satire, nonsense, and social commentary with such creativity that it became a global comedy landmark. But wait, who were the mad minds behind all of this? Where did these brilliant guys, and one amazing woman, come from? And what happened to them after they hung up their old lady wigs and packed away the giant rubber feet? In today's video, we're diving into the before and after of the main cast who brought this legendary series to life. We'll tell you where they were born, what they did before the show, which characters defined their careers, where they went afterward, and of course, what they're up to now. So put on your tinfoil hat, grab your boomerang fish, and join us on this ridiculously fun journey. Graham Chapman was born in 1941 in Leicester, England. Before diving into the wild world of Monty Python, Chapman was on a very different path. He was studying medicine. That's right. The guy who would go on to play insane kings and unlikely messiahs once held a scalpel in his hand. But while at university, he met John Cleese and ended up trading the stethoscope for comedy scripts. They began writing together for various BBC shows, and that's how the partnership that would change British comedy was born. On Monty Python's Flying Circus, Graham was considered the most serious of the Pythons, which is hilarious, given that he often delivered speeches in the nude or played a colonel who interrupted sketches for being too silly. He also landed the lead roles in the group's films. He was King Arthur in Monty Python and the Holy Grail and Brian in Life of Brian, one of the greatest comedy classics of all time. Off-screen, Graham was one of the first high-profile British entertainers to come out as gay back in the 1970s. He continued to work with the Pythons on all their films, while also writing books, scripts, and appearing in indie films. He had a sharp wit and a strong presence even when he wasn't center stage. Sadly, his life was cut short. Graham Chapman died in 1989 at the age of 48 from spinal cancer. His funeral was anything but traditional. It featured jokes from his friends and even a well-placed curse word from John Cleese right at the pulpit. A farewell Python style, of course. John Cleese was born in 1939 in Weston-super-Mare, England. Before becoming the master of British comedy, Cleese was an unusually tall young man, literally, studying law at Cambridge, but what he wanted to do was write jokes. While at university, he joined the Footlights theater troupe, where he met other comedy misfits like Graham Chapman. On Monty Python's Flying Circus, John was the most iconic member of the group. His stern look and barely contained rage were perfect for absurd characters, like in the famous Dead Parrot sketch. "This is an ex-parrot." Cleese had razor-sharp comedic timing and a stage presence that stole every scene, even when spouting total nonsense. After the series, John Cleese created the legendary Fawlty Towers, where he played Basil Fawlty, one of the funniest and most stressed-out characters in British TV history. And he didn't stop there. He starred in A Fish Called Wanda, appeared in blockbusters like Harry Potter, and took over as the new Q in the James Bond films. Over the years, Cleese also became a writer, public speaker, and a vocal critic of political correctness. He's still active in film and television, and even in his 80s, he's cracking jokes like he's 30. Eric Idle was born in 1943 in South Shields, England. Before becoming the master of witty songs and outrageous puns, Idle was raised in a boarding school after losing his father in an accident. He studied English literature at Cambridge, where he joined the famous Footlights group, and that's where he started writing and performing comedy sketches. On Monty Python's Flying Circus, Eric was the king of sharp-tongued characters. He often played fast-talking, cheeky, sarcastic types. He was the one who wrote and sang "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," the most ironically cheerful song ever sung by people being crucified. In 2012, Eric even performed it live at the closing ceremony of the London Olympics. After Flying Circus, Idol created The Ruddles, a Beatles parody that became a cult hit and even got praise from George Harrison, who was a close friend. Later on, Eric wrote the Broadway musical Spamalot, based on Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He also voiced characters in animations like Shrek the Third and South Park. Throughout his career, Idol has always blended humor and music, his trademark combo. To this day, he keeps performing and making appearances with that cheeky, irreverent charm we all love. Carol Cleveland was born in 1942 in London, England. Before becoming the official muse of the Pythons, Carol studied at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and even competed in beauty pageants. She joined Monty Python's Flying Circus right from the beginning and quickly became a key part of the group. Although not one of the original Pythons, she appeared in over 30 episodes. She usually played the female roles in the sketches, since the others preferred dressing up as mustachioed old ladies. But she was far more than just a pretty face. Carol had great comedic timing and pulled off even the most absurd scenes with skill, whether as a damsel in distress, a wild nymphomaniac, or a fiery revolutionary. After Flying Circus, Carol stayed closely tied to the group, appearing in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and The Meaning of Life. Outside the Python universe, she acted in stage productions, indie films, and made appearances in documentaries and fan events around the world. She's beloved by fans for being one of the few women in that gang of lunatics and for shining with her unique charm and talent. Terry Jones was born in 1942 in North Wales. Before diving headfirst into the Python's mad world, Jones studied literature and history at Oxford. That's where he met Michael Palin, and the two began writing comedy together, forming a creative duo that would go on to work on several shows before Monty Python's Flying Circus. On Flying Circus, Terry was known for his loud, over-the-top characters, often dressed as shrieking women. But beyond acting, he was also the driving force behind much of the show's structure. He cared deeply about the way sketches flowed into one another and about the visual language of the show. That's why he co-directed Monty Python and the Holy Grail with Gilliam, and went on to direct Life of Brian and The Meaning of Life almost entirely on his own. After the group disbanded, Terry proved to be a man of many talents. He wrote children's books, hosted humorous historical documentaries, and remained a passionate advocate for free speech and bold comedy. Sadly, in his final years, Terry battled a rare form of dementia that affected his ability to speak. He passed away in 2020 at the age of 77 due to complications from the disease. Michael Palin was born in 1943 in Sheffield, England. Before becoming one of the most beloved faces of Monty Python, Palin studied history at Oxford. Yep, another nerdy Python from a fancy university. That's where he met Terry Jones, his longtime creative partner. Together, they started writing comedy sketches for TV and quickly gained attention for their inventive style filled with eccentric characters and absurd situations. On Flying Circus, Palin was the group's chameleon. He could be a dim-witted knight, a granny with a weird accent, or a totally unhinged bureaucrat, all with the same commitment and charm. He had a rare talent for playing scenes completely straight while doing the most ridiculous things, which only made them funnier. Michael shined in all the Monty Python films and later in solo projects like A Fish Called Wanda. Then, in a surprising twist, he reinvented himself as a world traveler. That's right. He began hosting travel documentaries for the BBC, exploring places like the Himalayas, the Sahara, and even North Korea, all with his signature warmth, curiosity, and wit. In 2019, Michael was knighted, now proudly known as Sir Michael Palin, with plenty of pride and absolutely no pomp. Terry Gilliam was born in 1940 in Minnesota. Yes, he was the only Python born on this side of the Atlantic. Before storming the Queen's land with his surreal humor, Gilliam worked as a cartoonist in the U.S. He contributed to Help magazine, where he met John Cleese, and not long after, he moved to England. There, he dove headfirst into the world of animation, which is exactly what led him to join Monty Python. On Flying Circus, Gilliam wasn't often in front of the camera, but his influence was all over the show. He created the show's bizarre and wild animations that connected the sketches. Think Renaissance paintings collaged together, giant legs squashing people, floating faces, and random explosions. When he did act, he usually played grotesque, screeching characters with crooked teeth and disgusting outfits. But it was after Flying Circus that Gilliam truly showcased his talent as a filmmaker. He directed cult classics like Brazil, 12 Monkeys, and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. His films blend fantasy, social commentary, and visual chaos, just like his animations, only on a cinematic scale. To this day, he continues to create, criticize the system, and do whatever he wants, just like a true python. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more amazing content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends and family. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue creating fantastic videos like this one. Thanks again, and see you next time.